Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Saturday Chat. I'm joined by the one and only Mike Carney. How are you today, Mike?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. So, Indy 11 played maybe one of the best matches of the season against Minnesota United. A match where I think you predicted a draw. Am I wrong? Or some people predicted a draw?
Yeah, quite a few people projected a draw. I predicted a 1-0 win for Indy 11 that match.
And it was not that. It was goals.
No.
And I mean, like, that was like the right
Yeah.
match to put on beIN Sports. Like, I don't know how the league office actually knows, like, wow, we should put Indy 11 against Minnesota United on beIN Sports as the match of the week. But it actually paid off.
It pay off. I mean, you had the hottest team in the league in Minnesota. You had the only unbeaten team in the league in Indy 11. You thought because both teams play so well defensively, there wouldn't be any goals, but all of a sudden there were 6 in the game, and they weren't just at your average goals or trash goals. I mean, they were spectacular. It was unbelievable. The goal for Minnesota was just absolutely ridiculous, and then to see Nicky Patterson's goal at the end, the free kick, nobody was touching that one. That should have been, I thought, goal of the week, but at least Indy 11 Minnesota could say that they had 2 of the best goals that week, and maybe the 2 best goals of the season. But it was just absolutely tremendous to watch that game, and really a game that Minnesota dominated in some aspects. But then you go and look at it, and to see how many clearances Indy 11 had with inside the box, and to see what they had to overcome with some injuries during the game. And then I thought the stat that stood out the most that game was Indy 11 had 24 interceptions in that match, to those coming within the Minnesota's final third. So right then and there, no matter what Minnesota tried to do and try and generate in their attack, Indy 11 stopped them. And were able to put that into at least goal scoring opportunities and goal scoring or goals. I thought Minnesota is the best at counterattacking, but they got their own taste of their own medicine. The very first goal of the match with Vukovic to Braun to Zayed for the first goal of the game. So just all around a great effort by Indy 11 in a game where through and scored more than just 1 or 2 goals in a match. I mean, they actually broke through and scored 4 against a very, very good and talented Minnesota team, and the most talented team in the league. So overall, it was just a wonderful night for Indianapolis.
And Justin Braun is a very underrated player. I wouldn't be surprised, and I told this to Mike earlier in the week, I wouldn't be surprised if he got sold to someone, or maybe someone's scouting him right now. We don't know if someone is scouting him, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, well, we don't. Well, it's funny, too, because I remember you called me earlier in the week and said, hey, should I put Justin Braun on my fantasy team? I was like, you know what, man? He hasn't scored yet. I'm not quite sure. And then, boom, he had a goal and an assist. How he didn't get player of the week, I don't know. I expressed my views to the league already on Twitter about that. But Miami FC's coaching staff was in Indianapolis for that game. And I don't think that was just for scouting them for the in 2 weeks from today or next weekend. I don't think that was just for that. I think there was maybe some wheeling and dealing going on, or at least they tried to wheel and deal some things, because they've already spent $1 million within the last 2 weeks just to get 2 players in that are within the league and build off that. So I think he could potentially be scouted by other leagues. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we will talk about Miami FC just buying. But let's talk about, or let's review at the moment. So you guys beat Minnesota 4-2. Oklahoma lost to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers 2-1. And then we have Ottawa beating the Armada. The Armada can't get a road victory. So sad, Jacksonville. But I think they will get it eventually, right, Mike?
Eventually, yes, but right now they're in dire straits. I don't know what to. I mean, they've only scored 3 goals this spring season. They've allowed 9, which is one of the highest in the league. They're just not good at anything at any part of the game right now. They're struggling mightily. So who knows what Tony Meola can do now that he has a lot of cash he's sitting on. It's kind of scary to think that a team at the bottom is sitting on $750,000 just waiting to buy players once that transfer window opens in the U.S. here in the summertime. So I think they'll do much better in the fall. Maybe their first road win will come in the fall, but I just don't see it happening here in the spring.
If you're Tony Mayola, Mike, right? So you're sitting on so much cash, you're bottom on the table. Who do you buy to improve your team?
I hate to say this, but you buy someone with an ASL experience. I hate to say that because you don't want to see that money just filtering within the league constantly. You want it to go out of the league and come back into the league as much as possible to really flex your muscles and to show the United States and really North America that you can buy players outside of this league. But it's been proven time and time again, if you want to win in this league and be successful, buy NAS players that have NASL experience, because it's like no other league in the world, especially when it comes to teams you play, the physicality, the different playing surfaces that you have to play on, whether that's grass or turf, and especially the travel. I don't see teams in other leagues traveling some 3,000 miles round trip just to play one game. You just don't see that, but you do here in the NASL. So if you want to win now, short term, you bring in players that have NASL experience.
Yeah, so FC Edmonton, they beat the Carolina Railhawks, which I think Jason was sort of saying that we're going to win this game and whatever he was trying to say, or he was trying to say, but the Railhawks just couldn't get a point or 3 points. So that result actually helped the Cosmos, because before the match started, or before the Cosmos match started, the Carolina match was final. So we just needed a victory to get top of the table. And at the moment, Cosmos are top of the table because we beat the Tampa Bay Rowdies 2-1, which was a great match. It was very tight, even though it looked like the Cosmos were the better team, or maybe the Rowdies in the second half could have won the match. It was a very tight match, sort of like your match, but not that many goals.
Yeah. The FC Edmonton game, Carolina match was pretty surprising, actually. I thought just way FC Edmonton and all the travel they had to do, there'd be some tired legs in that lineup. And I thought just because Carolina and how far they had to travel would be kind of jet lagged, so it ended in a 0-0, 1-1 draw. But somehow, some way, FC Edmonton was able to pull it out, which is surprising. And they have a chance to take the league, which is going to be shocking to see a team up in Alberta and who has to do all that traveling, and with probably one of the lowest or smallest, if not the smallest budget in the league. That game was a shocker. No surprise that Cosmos won. They're just so good at home, unbeaten at home, really. That's no surprise there.
And yeah, it was the first time that the Cosmos conceded a goal at home, and
Right.
that was Tommy Heineman. That guy loves to score against the Cosmos, which I don't like. But he is a good striker, but I don't really know why a lot of clubs didn't go after him. Maybe it was a price tag, but you have to pay for good talent, right? You have to pay for a goal scorer, and why are owners sort of being cheap when it comes to a top striker?
Yeah, well, he tripled his contract, and it was in the six-figure range. So he did so well with Ottawa last year. He was the most physical presence up top for any team last year in the league, and that was tremendous. He could win the balls. He can win the balls in the air. He can bring them down. He can incorporate other players in the attack because of that, because there's so much focus on him. And then when he does have those one-on-one opportunities, he's able to have a quick touch and a strike and put the ball in the back of the net, whether it's with his head or with his feet. So you have to pay for that premium price, and a lot of the teams just can't afford strikers like that. They have to find other ways and other means of scoring goals. Tampa Bay was able to pick them up. I think Tampa Bay has struggled mightily this year. But I think if they maybe change their formation around a little bit, I think they can maybe have a lot more success, especially in the fall season. But time will tell. They can play spoilers. because they do play Minnesota. So who knows?
So we're rooting for the Rowdies here.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, first time me rooting for the Rowdies, but it probably won't be the last because we need all the results to go right for the New York Cosmos. And I don't want people to watch this and be like, well, this guy is very biased or this guy is like this because of the Cosmos supporter. You know what I mean? But
Right.
yeah, but results have to go our way, right, Mike?
Everybody has to have some results go their way, especially if you're Carolina, FC Edmonton, or New York Cosmos, because Minnesota and Indy 11 have a game at hand. Because the Railhawks, Cosmos, and Eddies have yet to take their bye, or go on their bye week, I should say.
Yeah, so last night was the first match for the weekend, which I really do like Friday night matches. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I do like Friday night matches. Unfortunately, I can't watch Friday night matches because I'm always at work or
Yes.
on my way into work. So unfortunately, I missed that match. But yeah, I think it captures an audience on Friday nights, a special audience that you may not be able to capture anywhere else, especially with MLS or USL games not on a Friday night. You can capture a lot of soccer fans' attention with a Friday night game.
Yeah, MLS, I think they have one Friday night match. I think they have one, I forgot who played, but it was in some type of rain delay. So if it was between two matches, you sort of draw a bit more of an audience, or like what Mike was sort of saying. So
Right.
the Fury just couldn't find a win at home, which is, again, very sad. They're not that great at home at the moment, but they lost 2-1 to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Fort Lauderdale is looking like one of those teams that can just jump in there into the top four, or maybe just slip right into the fourth seed come the end of the season.
Wouldn't surprise me because they've done that the last 2 years. But the thing with Fort Lauderdale is we really didn't know what to expect from them because they had all this Brazilian talent and talent that hadn't been tested here in the United States. And they came up, they had a couple of draws, a couple of losses, and then all of a sudden they beat the number one team in the league, Carolina Railhawks, at the time, even though Carolina had a couple of injuries, but that gave them a bunch of confidence, and they've been unstoppable since.
Yeah. So I'm just going to throw at you some matches. You give me some score predictions. We do this every week.
Gotcha.
Jacksonville, Indy. What are your thoughts here?
Indy 11-2, Jacksonville nothing. If Indy 11 wins this game, I predict that they will go on to win the spring season.
Whoa, that's very hard to swallow right here because I think, and this is very hard to sort of explain to new supporters, is there's a 10-game spring season, and you need to get everything right in 10 games. Across the world, I don't think a lot of clubs get things right in the first 10 games. In the Premier League, in Italy, in Germany, there's so much going on in those first 10 games. You're trying to find out different formations, see what works. But in the NASL, it's a very hard league, and people sort of put it down and say, well, it's not, it's very easy and things like that. But it's not, because you actually need to be a good team when the first match of the season comes around. So that means probably a lot more preseason matches. That must mean you coming in very early to train with the team.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so moving on, New York City, New York Cosmos are playing the Rayo OKC, which are not that great on the road, if I'm correct. Oh, no, they're not that great at home. At home. They're not that great at home, which is very shocking because you have your supporters with you, backing you. But this game is not at home. It's on the road. It's at James Short Stadium tonight. What are your thoughts here? Prediction?
Cosmos 2, Rayo OKC 1. I just think Cosmos are just too strong at home. They have that factor, that fear factor when they play at home, and they don't allow too many goals at home. Hopefully attendance goes up for them at Hofstra, but that's yet to be seen. But at home, they're very, very good at home. So I predict a 2-1 win for the Cosmos there.
Yeah, talking about attendance at Hofstra, it feels like all of a sudden it's going up. And I think when it was down, people, and even people that work for the Cosmos on Twitter were saying it's the weather. And I think that could be used as an excuse sometimes and say, like, yeah, but I mean, it was really cold, right? But if you really like the team, you're going to be there. Like with the Green Bay Packers, they're not saying it's the weather.
Right.
All these people just didn't come out. No, people come out in the cold because this is when they play, and that's the type of weather that there is there. You know what I mean? Like when I was in Indy, or the week before, you said it was almost snowing. So, or there was flurries, and people were still there. So, I don't know how much you could say. Well, it was the weather, but now it's sort of going up in a way. I think against Carolina, I think it was like 3,000, but it was a very rainy day. And at Hofstra, there's no cover. So if it's raining, you're messed up. And then the following week, the match we're playing against the Rowdies, we drew 6,000 or over 6,000. So that's a pretty good number right there. So hopefully it rises. It's a great day right now. It should reach about 90, so it should bring a lot more people out. So we will continue on our prediction for this week. It's going to be a very exciting week of NASL action. Miami FC against FC Edmonton. I'm really looking forward to this match as on beIN Sports. Michael Lahoud's debut. It should be very exciting.
Yeah, because of how much travel FC Edmonton has done, and because of the two new players that Miami FC has picked up in Richie Ryan and Michael Lahoud, as you mentioned, I'll predict a 1-1 draw here. I think Miami has improved dramatically in just two players, and I think that's going to help spark them along. Look, I think Dario Savitanic, the striker for Miami, is the most dangerous striker in the league. He win the Golden Boot Award, but he doesn't have any support. And so when he's not getting the ball, he can't score goals. And I think Lahoud and Richie Ryan are going to help stop those opposing teams from scoring on them and actually generate some sort of attack, whether that's playing balls over the top, or short triangle passes, or getting the ball wide. That's yet to be seen. But I think that if you get him the ball, get him service, he's going to score. Where he's proven that all over the world, whether that's playing for Pachuca in Mexico, or Ajax in Europe, or for Boca Juniors in Argentina, he's proven that. So you get him the ball, he is the most dangerous striker in the league. But he hasn't gotten any service yet. Once that gets going, I think Miami FC is going to be pretty tough. But until then, they're sitting bottom of the table. But I do predict a 1-1 draw here in this game.
Minnesota, last match of the weekend, Minnesota against Tampa Bay. We said we want the Rowdies to win this match to sort of keep their Cosmos alive in their spring championship hope. And for Indy 11 as well, right?
Yeah, for really everybody, for Carolina, for Edmonton, for the New York Cosmos, for Indy 11. We want the Tampa Bay Rowdies to be spoilers this game. And if they can pull out a win or a draw, that would help everybody else in the league tremendously. I predict the Rowdies a 1-0 win in Minnesota, which it's a tough place to score goals if you're the opposing team. But I think Indy 11 really exposed Minnesota big time last week. They, were able to counterattack against them, score some goals some different ways. And plus, they have a suspension this week, so who knows who's going to play left back for Minnesota? That's yet to be seen. So I think there's a lot of areas Tampa Bay Rowdies can expose. How they do that, I'm not quite sure. But it'll be a very interesting game. It'll be a tight game, and I think Tampa Bay will pull it out.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that result as well. Yeah. Like you said, a lot of people would be still in the hunt, and that's what we need, because that's what really is very attractive about this format. And a lot of people just don't like it, but it just makes everyone so competitive. And MLS, it's like, okay, you can lose like half of your matches and somehow get into the playoffs. Yeah. But in this league, you need to win matches.
Right.
You need to win.
Well, not only win, but you have to win the league as well. You have to win the spring season and the fall season to absolutely have a guarantee that you're going to make the playoffs. And then, of course, it's the other two who have the most points, or the other three who have the most points, depending on who wins the championships. Yeah, this isn't everybody's welcome to the playoffs, and the regular season's just, a free-for-all like you see in the NBA or National Hockey League. But this is exclusive to be in the playoffs, and it means something to be in the playoffs. So hopefully, those 4 teams, one being in the 11, can make or win the championship this spring if results go their way, and plus they have a bye week as well.
Yeah, so June 1st, this upcoming Wednesday, Open Cup action. Mike, are you looking forward to this Open Cup round here?
Boy, I tell you what, from an NASL perspective, I'm nervous. I really am.
Okay.
Last year, the USL swept all the NASL teams.
Except Atlanta and the Cosmos, yes.
Yeah, except Atlanta and the Cosmos, because they didn't have to play a USL side.
Yeah.
I think if they did, the story would be a little different. USL is good. I've seen a couple matches this year. I've watched some Sacramento games. I've seen some Sounders 2 games. I've watched one Louisville City game when they played Bethlehem Steel. And I tell you what, USL is just as talented as the NASL, and the NASL is just as talented as the MLS. So there is no discrepancy there. It's a level playing field. Me, because Louisville, they play in the 11 this year. Louisville may be stronger this year than they were last year. Louisville is leading their conference. They have another Matt Fondy on the team. Matt Fondy last year won the MVP and Golden Boot Award, now playing for Jacksonville, struggling with the Armada this year. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really good matchup for them and other teams around the league. But yeah, I'm nervous, and the NASL should be nervous as well if they want to be this first division league that they keep calling themselves. They better start beating the USL and Open Cup matches and really making a threat to the MLS on the field. So this will be a crucial year for the NASL for sure.
Mike, I want to get your opinion. Why would you be so nervous for Indy 11, say, to go to the next round if you're having a good spring so far? You know what I mean? Because expectations for Indy 11 this season were not very high. Am I right? But I mean, you didn't think you were gonna win the spring, say, or you guys didn't do it yet, but you're almost there.
Right.
You may not have thought that the league title may have been there for you guys, or the playoffs, if you will.
Right.
But do you think this is like a very exciting time for the club going into this Open Cup match?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very exciting time for the club to be in, a very exciting position for the club to be in as well. But at the same time, Louisville has had Indy 11's number last year in the U.S. Open Cup and preseason, and this year again in preseason they've had their number. So that's what makes me nervous, because it's like, and Louisville has essentially had 2 different teams with the roster turnover, yet Louisville still has their number. So that's why I'm kind of nervous for those aspects, and just the bad taste in everybody's mouth of what happened last year between Louisville and Indy 11. They went to double overtime, and Louisville was able to pull it out with a 2-0 win in overtime. So it's very nervous, and they're just a different style that we typically don't see in the NASL. And I don't know if Indy 11 is geared towards that or not, but that's yet to be seen.
Do you know if we're going to see maybe some squad rotation going into this match?
I think so, especially with the traveling, because this weekend they traveled to Jacksonville, obviously today, and played them the Armada tonight. They come home for a U.S. Open Cup match on Wednesday to play Louisville, and then they go back out on the road and play Miami in Miami. So I think there will be some squad rotation. Probably see Corey Miller play, Neil Schaefer, probably Duke Lacroix, and some other guys that have yet to get some serious playing time. Probably see them in the lineup, as well as Keith Cardona in goal for John Bush for the Wednesday night match. Absolutely.
And these players are not like young players. You know what I mean? Like, these are talented players, but is there a worry that these players are not going to get it done? Like, is there a worry that we're not starting our key players in a very important match?
Well, I mean, Indy 11 has found a very good relationship with their back line with Lavelle Palmer, Greg Janicki, and Nemanja Vukovic. Obviously, Janicki got hurt last week against Minnesota. I predict that he will not play this match against their Armada, which means Corey Miller will play. In terms of Keith Cardona, I'd like to see him get more playing time, and I thought he would be getting more playing time at this point in the season with John Bush and considering his age, but his experience has ruled that out, and he's done a fantastic job so far. Players like that, I'd like to see be able to develop more. But at the same time, Keith Cardona is the only backup goalkeeper for Indy 11. So I think he'll get more playing time as Indy 11 is able to advance in U.S. Open Cup or some matches in the fall season that see them play on a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday type of scenario. I see him getting more playing time because he really is the future of Indy 11 and what they have to offer. As for Neil Schaefer, played in the USL last year. I'd like to see him get some playing experience, but it's and as well as Marco Franco, who played for Indy 11 last year, but it's hard to crack that back line. Strong defenses as Indy 11 has had so far this year. So I'd like to see those players get more playing time, but the motivation is if they show well against Louisville in the U.S. Open Cup, that's a good headache to have if you're Coach Hankinson and Tim Regan, to have so many players that are so good and can do so many things. That's a good headache to have if you're the coaching staff of Indy 11, if they are able to perform well against Louisville in the U.S. Open Cup, or if they're able to advance the Chicago Fire in the next round.
Yeah, so this is the last discussion about the Open Cup. I know you're a bit nervous, but what is your score prediction? Do you see Indy 11 going through or not?
I do see them going through. It's not going to be easy as I think people think. If overtime comes, it would not surprise me if it goes to overtime. Hopefully not. I don't see a PK shootout, but it would not surprise me if this game went beyond 90 minutes. And I see Indy 11 getting their first win ever against Louisville FC 1-0.
And then you go on to face Chicago Fire. Again, who is Peter Wilk going to support? Who knows?
I would assume he would support Indy 11.
I was joking, Mike.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So we're going to go to our discussion topics real quick. Let's talk about transfers within the league, Mike. So we saw Richie Ryan get sold to Miami FC, which it was a bit of a shock when it happened. It was like, wow, he got sold for, what was it,
$750,000, which is a shocker there. I would not be paying that price for Richie Ryan, even though, and that's no disrespect to him, he is a good player, but I would not pay that asking price for him or that price for him. I mean, you could spend $750,000 and bring in a very good player overseas who is even more talented than Richie Ryan into the league. And just from the league's perspective, if you do something like that, what kind of business practices you're doing, spending that kind of money on a player within the league when you're trying to flex your muscles and get players from outside the league who are still young and haven't made or have proven themselves in foreign leagues, and bringing them in here and showing them and flexing your muscles a bit that we can be a first division league and we can compete with the MLS in paying fees and transfer fees and paying salaries and so on and so forth on par with the MLS, and yet have a more talented league than the MLS. That's what I would like to see instead of just buying players within the league and rotating that money within the league. That's what I would like to see. And it was shocking, too, to see your boy Michael Lahau go from the New York Cosmos back to Philadelphia and then out to Miami FC, too.
Yeah, my take on the first thing that you were talking about, how you don't like the money going around within the league. I really think that the NASL is still a very young league, that I think we need this to happen first, I think, before we can actually go out there and say, okay, let's go buy players from the Premier League. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we need to see sort of a team going out there and overpaying for talent, because Miami FC is the type of team that would do it. You know what I mean? Or maybe they valued him at that much money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe really thought he was worth that much money. So I don't know. I really think Miami FC actually knows what they're doing. They like Maldini has been around for a bit longer than most of us in the soccer world.
Right.
So I think they know what they're doing, and I think they're confident. And Nesta, he's scouting players. He was in Indy checking out players. Being Sports Guy was like, oh, Nesta is in the house scouting the team because that's who they're going to play. So maybe it was a bit of that and maybe some small scouting right there. But touching on Michael Lahoud, so sad to see him go because he didn't start against the Rowdies, which was shocking. He was like, well, Michael Lahoud's not starting. But what was funny was that no one really paid attention to it. It was like, okay, he didn't start and that's it. And then you'll find out the next day that he got recalled by the Union. And everyone's like, whoa, what's going on here? And then he gets sold to Miami FC. And this broke Monday morning. And at that time, it sounded like all rumors. But it had to be a very big fee for the Union to say, okay, let's pull him from the Cosmos and to go sell him right now. But then on the other side, I think if you send a player out on loan, I think you have to give that team some time to say, okay, we want him. Let's buy him. You know what I mean? They must have sort of gave the Cosmos maybe some time to say, okay, are you going to match this offer? But this is me just sort of speculating because you can't really take a player from another team, sort of like how the Union did, but they could do that. But it's not right. You know what I mean? I just think that this hurts the relationship for the Cosmos and MLS clubs on loan players. We see this with Jimmy Ockford. He was here on loan once before. Then he went to Seattle, and he's back again. But that just goes to show you how much the players actually love the Cosmos and love playing for them. Michael Lahoud talked great about the club, about the organization. He even said in an interview after he got transferred, he said that the Union never told him where he was going or what was happening, but Giovanni Savarese was the one that said, okay, you're about to be transferred to Miami FC. So it just goes to show you how much the Cosmos actually care about the players and how much the players actually have a family relationship, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. And to your point that you made, just to piggyback off that, I mean, if the Cosmos have these bad relationships with MLS teams, with players on loan, you may start seeing the window start shutting down with the NASL and MLS with those transfer players or with those players being transferred back and forth. And maybe those, MLS teams only deal exclusively with the USL. Kind of interesting, though, that, Miami FC wanted Michael Lahoud, even though they knew he was on loan. I don't know how, the New York Cosmos now feel about Miami FC for basically buying a player that they had on loan and putting them in the league. Now they're going to have to face him again. I would not be happy if I was New York Cosmos with that dealing. But you have no control of it at the same time as well. So
yeah, you can't control. He's not your player. You probably just pay his wages and that's it. It's a hard situation to be in. But with the Cosmos, I feel like it's okay because we have so much depth. And it's like, okay, he left. We saw, we have Danny Sattel that never really played that much. But then now Michael who left, and now there's room for him now. So I don't know. Maybe it paves way for more talent to come in.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, since we're on the Cosmos, Nico Kranjar is out injured 4 to 6 weeks. And this is a funny one, Mike, because his contract only lasts for the spring. So that could mean, and there is some suitors out there, Rangers FC in Scotland, they're looking to buy my boy Nico Kranjar. And I don't know. I think we talked about this before. If we didn't, let's talk about it, Mike. There's a very attractiveness to going to Europe to play. And Nico, in his career right now, he picked to go to the United States to get fit, to play. And now he feels comfortable now. Now he's like, okay, I enjoy playing here. I like the fans. I like everything. And he's in the biggest city in the world, so that's what you can sort of sell him on. But he's enjoying his time here. He's only played, say, 7 games. He played it against the Rowdies and left in the 4th minute. So I mean, like, this would be a very sad thing to see if he just leaves and his career is just 7 games with the Cosmos. I bought a Cosmos kit with Cronger on it this past Sunday, so hopefully he doesn't leave. But I wouldn't doubt him if he does leave. Like, I wouldn't get mad at him at all if he does leave, because Europe is very attractive, and I would go to Europe to play as well.
Right.
But then on the other side, his girlfriend is on Broadway, and she sort of persuaded him to come here, and then now he has to persuade him to go to Scotland. Yeah. I don't know. Does he leave, or he's never going to persuade his girlfriend? So that's sort of my last hope that I'm holding on to and saying, well, Nico is going to stay because of that, or because he likes the team. And
right.
The Cosmos are saying that they're talking to him, there's positive talks and all that. So that's sort of another positive sign that the Cosmos know that they need to keep him around. But the hardest part is sort of selling him on what our project is with bigger clubs coming in. I read an article, and it said that, like, Rangers inquired about him. MLS clubs want him. I think they even said, like, Premier League teams want him as well, like teams around the world. So right. It's going to be a very crazy time. I don't know. Mike, if you're Nico and you're here for a short time but you're enjoying your stay, do you leave or do you go to Europe? But you've been there before. You have experienced
right.
whatever you can experience in Europe. Shouldn't you stay here to have a new challenge?
Yeah, that depends. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. I really think that because he's injured and is now out 4 to 6 weeks, I think that really hinders what he can and can't do in terms of what teams want him now because he's injured.
Yeah.
In terms of Rangers, maybe not. They'll still want him, but at the same time, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. What kind of injury does he have? Is it severe enough? We're not going to worry about it because we're off in the summertime. Rangers are going back up to the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're going back up to the Scottish Premier League. Are they willing to spend that kind of money on now a player who's hurt? I don't know. Family gets, involved in that, in those situations. If he goes to MLS, I think New York Red Bulls and NYCFC would be a good possibility that he goes there. Like you said, the factor of his girlfriend's on Broadway, that could play a factor. Who knows? Money can be, too good to turn down. Who knows? Nobody knows at this point. If he stays in the league, I think that's huge for the New York Cosmos and for the NASL to show that both we can attract players and keep players here over a long period of time, and it's not just players who are going to retire after 1 year like we saw, or 2 years like we saw in Senna and Raul. We can actually have talented players who have Premier League experience stay here over a long-term period of time. That's yet to be seen. Who knows? I think there's too many factors still at play. All we can do is just sit here and speculate until a deal actually gets done. Who knows?
Yeah, Nico Cronger is 31 years old. He has so much to offer for the Cosmos. If they can keep him for 5 years at least, you're 36.
Right.
See where you go from there. I think if he stays that long, I think he could be up there with Raul and Senna as a sort of modern era legend, if you will.
Could very well be. Just depends on what he can do. If he does stay with New York Cosmos and if he's healthy and how he comes back and rehabs from his injury, if he can start scoring some goals and start distributing the ball, and where they see him fitting into their 4-1-4-1 system or their 4-2-3-1 system, however they have it, whether he plays as the number 10 or plays out on the wings like he has been, who knows? But yes, he has the potential to be a New York Cosmos modern-day legend, as you mentioned, but all that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, hopefully he stays. Nico, if you're watching it, just stay for me, man. I'll miss you if you leave, but I would support you with Rangers because he's just a world-class player. But let's move on to some expansion talk, or not really expansion on the NASL side, because no possible links, just sort of a guy, and his name was Matt Driver, Mike.
Mhm.
His goal, and he started and sort of owns the ASL. If you don't know what that is, that's the American Soccer League, and he owns a team in that league called the Philadelphia Fury. They played Ibar and a friendly, and at the time, this friendly was okay. We're just going to play the Fury and play the Cosmos. That's what we thought, but it was more of like a business trip as well. Of
Right.
can we sort of work together and own a team together? So Matt Driver's goals is to move his team, the Philadelphia Fury, to the NASL and sort of feed the talent in the ASL into his team in the NASL.
Right.
And I don't think he has the money to do this. That's why he's trying to get two groups of investors and sort of investments that own clubs abroad. So that could be England, that could be China, wherever, Dubai. And sort of the goal is to sell those talent to those clubs. I don't know. From what I've read, I didn't like the idea at all. There's some other guy that's involved. I don't think this is a good idea just because the NASL is not that type of league.
Right.
If you want to develop talent, if you want to sort of grow your brand and develop what you're doing and sell abroad, there's other leagues for that, Matt Driver.
Right.
There's USL, there's PDL, and it's much cheaper to operate. You can even say in the ASL, why do you have to be in that top division? So you play better talent, but you're playing ASL players. They have not experienced anything yet. You know what I mean? They're not professional players. So I don't know, Mike. Where do you stand on this?
Well, Ibar is definitely not here just for some friendlies and some drum up some fans here within the United States. I mean, they're here on business. They played the New York Cosmos in Las Vegas this past week,
and we won.
Yep, and they're on PKs, so they're looking to, I think, start a team out in Vegas, or at least
That's the rumor going around, right?
Right, and just they're out there testing the waters. They're testing the waters in Philadelphia to see what happens because Ibar played the Philadelphia Fury as well. It'll be interesting. I think one factor that comes into this is if he wants to come into the NASL, what does he do about the name Fury? Because Ottawa already has that name in their team, Ottawa Fury. And in the article that I think you're referencing, he brought the Fury trademark a few years ago with the intention of using that as for a professional team, whether that be now or a few years down the road. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, and what Ottawa does and what the current Philadelphia Fury do. It would not surprise me if Ibar set up something with them where they can have something like Rayo OKC. Do I want that in this league? Rayo OKC is unique, yes, but I don't want foreign clubs to own teams within the NASL and make them out to be, whether that be their B team or what have you. I just really don't want to see that. I want to see own independent clubs.
Local owners. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Locally owned roots clubs here start in the NASL first, and maybe have those relationships later with those clubs from a non-ownership standpoint. But from an ownership standpoint, I just don't want to see that occur. But we'll wait and see. It's an interesting case with the Fury, or Philadelphia Fury, and what's going on in the NASL, what's going on in Nashville with the USL. So who knows?
Yeah. So talking about maybe a Las Vegas team, they didn't draw well for the Cosmos match as well. I even saw a picture that they had a billboard as well. It's like Cosmos versus Ibar.
Right.
I don't know. Like, how do you not draw for that match? It's Ibar. They claim they have so many shareholders on the West Coast, and you're playing in like a big football stadium. So I don't know how you not draw there. And then Philadelphia, I mean, like the Philadelphia Fury don't have a big name, and they're not at the top level, but you're bringing in Ibar. I know they're not the most attractive team.
Right.
If they would have brought in Barcelona, would they still have drawn a lot of people? I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You think so?
If it was Barcelona, Real Madrid, that stadium would have been packed. But it's Ibar, and it's I don't think a lot of people get up for that game just because it's a team a lot of people I don't think have really heard of here in the United States. So
Yeah.
that's and on top of that, it was during the week, still playing during their season. It was just not good all the way around.
Yeah, it was a Wednesday night, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know who you drew on a Wednesday night. Like, I even wanted to go to that match, but I saw the turnout, and I was like, thank God I didn't go. It was better watching it on beIN Sports. I was really surprised they had it on beIN Sports because they never show Cosmo stuff. Like, at first, they were like, okay, it's only going to be on the Spanish version. So I was like, okay, I can find a stream for that. But then I turn on beIN Sports, and it's actually on TV, and I'm like, whoa, Cosmos are on beIN Sports? That's nuts.
Yeah, that was interesting because I didn't even know they were on beIN Sports at all until I saw the highlights the next day, and I thought that was pretty remarkable. I can't imagine what the eyeballs and viewership was for that match. I don't even want to speculate. I'm sure it was bad.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. Just because it was, I think it was a last-second deal and not really being able to advertise or market that. So I think Ibar and New York Cosmos are going to have to look at this game from different angles and see how they were able to market this game and able to drum up support for this game. And being Las Vegas on a Wednesday night, I think there's going to be a lot of out of that from my perspective. If I'm the New York Cosmos,
I think the Cosmos don't look at it as we could have marketed for this match. It's not their event; they're just participating in it. You know what I mean?
True.
How could you actually bring people from New York to Las Vegas?
True.
If you set up some type of travel package, you know what I mean? So I don't see why the Cosmos have to sort of promote it. La Liga and were the ones that set this all up. So it should have been on them to say, okay, we're playing. And they announced this with enough time to promote the hell out of this match. And I don't think they did that. Because I think if you sold a lot of people on the story of Ibar, a lot of Americans love these great stories. They love like the Cinderella story of Ibar hosting Messi and Barcelona. So if you sell that, which I think you really could, a lot more people would have been in that stadium. I don't care if it was a Wednesday night. It's Las Vegas, guys. You're going to get some people out there. But talking about the Cosmos aspect of the match, I think they viewed it as playing players that are not getting first team minutes and playing some good talent and just not taking a day off, which I think is very important. We'll see tonight what happens. If they lose, they lose. And you can blame the Wednesday night match for that. But I think I think that you really played well, the Cosmos. I think they really did. And they had some more competition midweek rather than playing their friends at training, which is always good. But the thing that hurt them is flying to Las Vegas and back. So But Yasmani Duke, who scored 2 goals for the Cosmos, he's going to Copa America. He's not going to be playing tonight or for the next month because he's going to be with Bolivia in Copa America. He's playing tonight against the United States, so that should be very exciting. Hopefully he beats the United States because Yasmani Duke is the best player in the world. He really is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami FC came out of nowhere and it's like, Duke's my player. But Mike, any last words before we close out?
It'll be an interesting week or interesting day in the NASL. See who wins, see who loses, see where it all plays out in the standings. Once the dust settles, it's going to be an interesting weekend. I hope I'm going to hold true with my prediction. If Indy 11 wins tonight, I think they're going to go on to win the league because Minnesota and Indy 11 have a game at hand out of Minnesota and Indy. Indianapolis has an easier schedule, playing their Armada tonight, then Miami, and then playing Carolina, whereas Minnesota has to play Tampa Bay, Rayo OKC, and then Miami. So it'll be interesting once the dust settles. Who knows? But that's my prediction. And, of course, it's big here in Indianapolis. Of course, if Indy 11 wins, it's just going to make the weekend so much better here in the Circle City, especially with tomorrow being the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. So,
yeah, should be a great weekend for all your Hoosiers over there. Hopefully, we have a lot of Hoosier viewers because you guys are the best. No, I don't know.
Yep.
But I'm hoping the Armada just smack any 11 around this weekend. Well, that might not happen, but I'm hoping it does because I'm a very different Cosmos supporter.
Right.
Because if you guys lose, right, which it would be like crazy times if you guys lose because you wouldn't be enjoying the 8,500 tomorrow. But I don't know. I just want other results to go our way so the Cosmos can actually win the spring.
It'll be definitely interesting. Talking to Logie this week, I mean, the Armada are going to be struggling just to find enough players to field tonight's game.
Wow.
With so many injuries. And then on top of that, you have 2 players that are going to be out because of international duty playing for Haiti. They're going to be pretty thin tonight against Indy 11. So
what do you think? They signed some players on a free transfer for the game, or do you think me and you can go fly down to Jacksonville and play for the team tonight?
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't see them even having 18 players dressed for this game for Jacksonville. I really don't.
So that just means an easy win for Indy 11, like 6-0, 7-0.
I don't know about 6 or 7-0. Hopefully 2 or 3-0 because I predicted a 2-0 win. Okay. Jacksonville's pretty decent at home, so that'll be yet to be seen. But yeah, I hopefully it's an easy win for Indy 11. You can't guarantee anything, but with the U.S. Open Cup coming up and Miami FC, you hope Indy 11 can put this game away within the first 20 to 30 minutes and then coast the rest of the match. So, but you know, if that happens, I mean, the odds are highly unlikely that that happens. They're going to have to fight for 90 minutes for this game because the NASL is so good. But hopefully that happens, but highly unlikely. Okay,
Mike, last question before we tune out. Do you think Indy 11 has to prioritize one competition over another? So do you think you guys should pick the league over the Open Cup because you guys are going great in the league? So do you think if you put all your marbles in the league, you guys can potentially win that? Or would you rather want to see them put everything into the Open Cup? Or do you think they should have like a balance?
A balance. You know, they haven't done this well ever in the NASL.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with how things went last year with the U.S. Open Cup, there needs to be a balance where you put eggs in both baskets to make sure that you know the competition is strong and that you're competitive for both competitions. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, we see
right. At the end of the day, you want to win everything. You have to go in the match thinking that you're going to win everything, no matter what the competition is. That's the mindset you have to have.
Yeah, we see across the world that some clubs just try to pick one competition over the other.
Right.
But in some countries, it's very hard to actually put all your marbles in all the competitions. Because in England, you have like 4 competitions in one season, and that's really hard to balance. But in this country, we only have 2, so that should be very easy to say, okay, let's have some squad rotation going, and that's and you guys should have bigger squads as well. Depth is very important in this tournaments as well. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Mike, thanks for joining me, or thanks for joining everyone on the Saturday chat. I really enjoyed this chat. Mike enjoyed this chat, and follow us on Twitter at TotalNASL. Subscribe if you are new to never miss another video. Comment below if what you want to see next on this video, or what are your thoughts on what we discussed. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.